DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to Emerse Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We want to thank you for joining us on this lovely Sunday night for this episode of Beyond the Game. This is being brought to you by Brachelle Family Insurance, Kick Thrones of Strop City, Louisiana, and your own Involved Social and Civic Club. We have another great icon and standout from Strop City, Louisiana. We were going to visit over in Franklin Parish, where we're going to visit with our own. He is a graduate of Bastrop High School of 1997. He went on to go to Tulane University. While at Bastrop High, he was a 3-time All-District, 2-time All-Northeast, and 2-time second-team All-State, where he graduated in 8th in his class. He went on to Tulane University, where he would be leading the university and the nation in touchdowns in 2016, where he also would be the MVP of the year during that season. He is also known for being a well-known coach throughout Louisiana, from St. Augustine to Wiseman, now back to his alma mater, Bastrop, where he left there, and he's now the first Afro-American head coach of Franklin Parish High School. I give you Strop City's own standout and former Tulane University standout, Coach Adrian Burnette. We have him on the show. How you doing today, Coach?
Man, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
It's such an honor to have you here, Coach. We know that you have a phenomenal college career, and you've been known for coaching, and you coach some of the best that Strop City and Louisiana has to offer, such as Ruben Randall, the people as that, and Randall Mackey. How have things been going for you, first of all, Coach? How's things been going for you in Franklin Parish?
Man, everything is going well, man. I was well received in Franklin Parish. I was there a couple of years prior to actually getting a head coaching job. So, you know, they kind of knew me. I knew the lay of the land. Coach Nason ended up stepping down after last year. And around this time last year, as a matter of fact, man, I was hired as the athletic director and head coach, and was first, like you said, first African-American head coach, athletic director in Franklin Parish history. So I also take that as an honor.
Right, Coach. You know, we kind of share with the studio audience and the surrounding areas. How was it growing up for old Coach Burnette in Strop City, Louisiana?
It is, man. I was just texting all the time, man. I missed the late 80s, early 90s, man. It was a lot of fun, man, growing up, man. A lot of people in Bastrop. You know, Bastrop was much more populated at that point in time, especially with kids. We talk all the time about being in Carter Park during the summer, everybody playing baseball, or being in Dotson Park, you know, playing basketball, or just being in your own yard, or being at Robert Andrews' house, man, playing. But
Right. You kind of fade in and out on us, Coach, but we definitely appreciate you stopping through and taking time out. You know, he's traveling on the road, y'all, so if he keep fading in and out, he's on the highway. We want to be careful.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Coach. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just talking about how good it was back in the time. You know, it was much more populated. A lot of people, a lot of kids, you know, everybody was together playing, having a good time, man. Bastrop was a real good time back in the 80s and 90s, man.
Right, most definitely, Coach. But kind of share with the people about growing up in Bastrop, as what you said, but playing football for the mighty Rams in the era you came through when, you know, winning wasn't so known and prestige at the time. Kind of share with the people about that experience, Coach.
Well, man, unfortunately, man, when you looked at the win-loss categories, you know, it didn't always show up in those categories on Friday night, man, but we've always had athletes We always had great players. You know, I was fortunate enough to come through in a time where you had the Mike Williams and the Fred Halstons and the Marcus Sawyers, man. And I got an opportunity to play varsity at an early age, whether it be football or whether it be basketball. But again, in the different sports, it wasn't always in the win column. But as far as the athletes and the people we had, we always had great teams and great players.
Most definitely. And, like you said, you got a chance to be around. You named some of the guys like Fred Halsters and the Marcus Sawyers. And like you said, Coach, we always had great talent and had the players. But looking at your time that you played at Bastrop and you went on to play in college, who was inspirational to you most, Coach, that kind of kept you focused, being also a part of the Beta Club when you was in high school? Matter of fact, you was class president of your class in Beta Club. How did you keep that focus, Coach?
Man, my mama didn't play nothing else, man. The expectation was high around my house. You know, my mom was always academics first. I remember there was times where, the athletic part didn't really bother her. You know, she was willing to take me off the team at any time if my grades dropped. So as far as just my inspiration to be the best that I could in high school, it all stems around my mom. As far as athletics, man, I had a good group of friends around me: Chad Clark, Ira Locke, Rob Andrews, Mike Williams. And as far as just being what I could be every day in sports and athletics, and academics, I also have to give a nod to my dad, Jesse Burnette, who was also a big inspiration in my life.
Right, most definitely, Coach. And, kind of share with us about, the transition from Bastrop. And we all know that a lot of your scholarship that people don't know came from your academics as well, to go to a prestigious university like Tulane. But how was that recruiting process, and how did you end up making that decision?
Man, I had several different choices. I had opportunities. First, I had a couple opportunities actually in basketball, and that was my true first love. When my dad kind of sat me down, he said, "Man, look, at 5'10", it's going to be hard for you to get a good basketball career going, so you might want to go towards football." And that's what kind of pushed me towards that. And doing the football recruiting, I had Arkansas, I had Notre Dame, I had Tech, I had Tulane, and I got with Patrick Ramsey, who was the quarterback at Ruston at the time. We both had recruiting trips around the same time, and we kind of made the decision together.
Right, and like you say, you had other guys out the area that kind of helped you pave that way. But how was the transition coming from little old Bastrop, heading down to the big city of New Orleans, going to a prestigious university like Tulane?
Man, it was different, man. But I had a lot of support. What I was fortunate enough is had people like say a Tulane Sawyer or Michael Williams, who had already kind of been through the process prior to me. And those guys always came back, whether it be working out, whether it be just having random conversations. So as far as the transition, it was a little easier for me because I had people prior to me who helped me out in my transition and helped me out knowing what I need to know.
Right, most definitely. And how do you look at the recruiting process now that into coaching and you played and you done brung all that and put it into a gumbo and had a great career thus far, which we're going to get into later in the show. But how do you look at the recruiting process now with the UIL deals compared to when you was getting a scholarship back then and how the game was?
Well, that's different. People don't understand the difference, especially sometimes when it comes down to whether it be parents or players. They think it's just, hey, man, make a phone call and there it is. But now when they have the transfer portal, I think that's really hindering a lot of our high school players as far as getting a collegiate opportunity because a lot of times those guys that's in another college that transfers gets the first opportunity. But as far as getting yourself in front of somebody, all you can do really is just compete every day. They give you opportunities with the 7-on-7s and that type of thing. But I tell any kid, man, if you got your academics, if your ACT is right, your GPA is right, then you're going to always have an opportunity to get recruited and go somewhere.
Right, most definitely. Coach, we're going to take an intermission, but when we come back, we want to talk about the records you broke at Tulane, being leading the university as being the number 3 all-time leading receiver, and the opportunities you had beyond the game after that with your professional career and the potential you had. Now we're going to look at how you turned that all around and you were giving back, and you're now coaching young men and young women, showing them the path to take to success and live your dreams when we come back after this intermission.
Gotcha.
We'll be right back with Franklin Parish head coach and Tulane University former All-American wide receiver, Adrian Burnette, when we return after this intermission.
Immerse 360 Podcasts focuses on uplifting rural and urban areas and dire conditions with no solutions by shedding light on pioneers, athletes, and political figures who have made an impression on Northeast Louisiana and surrounding areas. Immerse understands the social and civic needs to love, learn, live, and laugh. So, tap in every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all social networks and platforms. Always remember, Immerse 360.
Welcome back to Immerse Podcast 360. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Bro Inc. Photography, 44 million ENT. Shout out to classmate of Adrian Burnette, Henry Odom, with the sponsorship, and our own Restoration of Hope Community Center here in Strop City, Louisiana. We're still here with the first African-American head coach of our neighbor, Franklin Parish High School, our own Strop City standout and former Tulane wide receiver and All-American coach Adrian Burnette. Coach, kind of shares with us about how it was breaking those records for the old Tulane Green Wave.
Man, it was it was a great time, obviously, in my life, man. I always wanted to go to either Grambling or Southern, man. That's kind of what I grew up around. Unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to go because I didn't have any offers from either of those schools, man. So I went to Tulane. I was kind of hesitant because they was a run-first team that ran a lot of option prior to Coach Bowden getting there. But Coach Tommy Bowden was the head coach. Coach Rich Rodriguez was the offensive coordinator. And they just convinced me, man, they was going to throw the ball around a lot. Had an opportunity from my freshman year all the way to my senior year to catch a whole lot of passes. Actually led the team and set some records along the way. And like you said, my senior year, I led the nation in touchdowns with 16. So, man, my career as far as being a wide receiver, having every opportunity to be productive, man, I have absolutely no complaints, man.
Right, Coach. You know, like I said, coming from little old bitty Bastrop, you went and made some and paved some big footsteps at the next level in the NCAA, the D1, like Tulane. Now, Coach, what were some of your opportunities after your career at Tulane?
Well, I was at that point in time, man, coming out as a senior, man, I was projected around third round, late second round, third round was my projection. Unfortunately, during my training process to get ready for the combine in Indianapolis, I tore my hamstring. So I was unable to perform. That ended up putting me in a spot where I didn't get drafted. I actually went free agent to the Dallas Cowboys first. Was there for a little while, got injured there. Ended up getting released, going to Baltimore, playing for the Ravens for a little while. And the injury bug just kept chasing me down. So as far as my professional career, whether it be NFL or even in the Canadian League for a little while, it was just plagued with injuries. But I'm quite thankful for it because what it did was it still gave me that hunger and drive to be a part of athletics, and that's what kind of ultimately got me into coaching.
Right, and we're about to get into that, leading into the coaching thing. You have golden opportunities, like we said earlier, coming from maybe a 1-9 or 2-8 program your senior year, going on and doing big things at Tulane and having opportunities at the next level, but injuries that kind of probably was dealing with you since high school. They just carried on throughout. But Coach, you put all that in the gumbo, and you keep that in the South around New Orleans area with St. Augustine, one of your first tenures that I know of. How did you put all that together and become one of the best offensive coordinators in Louisiana?
Man, just being humble and just being a student of the game. I think through my playing career, I was always intrigued with the offense and how I fit in the offense and how I could be productive in offense. And even as a player, there were times and opportunities where I have conversation with the coach and see if, maybe we can change something here and change something there. And so once I kind of got into coaching, I knew from jump, that I not only wanted to be a wide receiver coach, but I wanted to be a coordinator. So at that point in time, it was just about studying, getting deeper in my craft, and also being humble enough to talk to older coaches and other coaches. I've had sit downs with, Mickey McCarty. I've had sit downs with Brad Bradshaw, with Cyril Crutchfield, with Jared Bowe down in Ruskin. So it's just about being a student of the game, being humble enough to get yourself around people who really understand what it is that you're trying to do, and just pick their brain as much as you possibly can.
From the South, back up north, and probably you coached throughout the central Louisiana. But how has the comparison been from OC to head coach to wide receiver, now back to head coach, and how is the style of play and the atmosphere being for you to keep adapting to those many different cultures through your career, Coach?
Well, man, the ironic part about it, man, I tell people this all the time, man, it's kind of the higher you go up on the ladder, man, the less coaching you do. As a head coach, especially as a head coach and athletic director, man, you wear so many different hats, and you have so many different things that you have to be a part of. That some days I actually miss just being a wide receiver coach, just going out there with my group of guys, my 6 or 7 guys, running routes, doing cone drills, doing those type of things. But as far as the different levels, whether it be, receiver coach, OC, head coach, or whatever the case may be, I just think that, just understanding who you are, being true to yourself. Everybody has a different philosophy and different vision, but I think the right vision is the one that everybody buys into. As long as you can, sell your dream, as long as you can do what it is that you believe in and make it work, it's going to be all right.
Right, most definitely. And Coach, we get into it. We look at your coaching career as we know. Bastrop gave you an early start. You were there through some of the championships and through the championship years. And then you went on to Carroll and had several different opportunities, but you finally got to live, I'll say, any player, coach dream that's starting out to come back and coach at your alma mater, and be the head coach. Not only that, how was that, and how were you feeling when you finally got that opportunity to run those reins with those old mighty Bastrop Rams?
Man, it was honestly, it's a dream come true, man. If you into athletics and you into coaching, especially if you were successful in your hometown, then I think it's everybody's dream to coach, whether it be coaching or principal or whatever. So getting that opportunity, having an opportunity to come back, first being the OC when I first came back, and then moving into the head coaching role, man, it was everything I wanted. It was the job that I wanted. I had an opportunity. People don't know I actually turned down 2 jobs. I turned down a job at Carr, and I turned down a job at Landry Walker to come back to Bastrop at that point in time. So it was my dream. It was everything I wanted, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Right. When you finally get that opportunity and you're there, and things are looking bright, and the community is coming together. You had a great group of kids that had pretty much been playing together since they was about 9 or 10, and everybody was looking at this being the next class and you being the next coach to take us back to that prominence. How did it go, Coach, and what were you seeing, and what was your vision at the time when you had the reins?
Man, you know, me loving Bastrop, being from Bastrop, man, I wanted everybody to be a part of the success. You know, the same dream that I sold in Franklin Parish, I sold in Bastrop, about it being a community-based program, which means that, you know, we should be one, we should be a family, whether that's inside the building, outside the building. And I wanted everybody to be a part of that success. You know, and at that point in time, everything was going well, man. We had a great season. Unfortunately, we got knocked out by Carr, who won the state championship that year. And I was honestly, after my second year, because we went from 5-5 to 9-3, had the bulk of everybody coming back that following year, and we was looking forward to that next year. I really think we could have made a run, possibly even made it to state. But unfortunately, the powers that be just had a different outlook and vision on things, and we ended up having to part ways.
Right, Coach. You know, and it was kind of, the spirit has, and the atmosphere has not been the same since that departure. And it was a lot of mixed feelings, and it was kind of left a bitter taste on both sides of the coin about what actually happened with you having that golden opportunity and having a great team in which you were turning the program around. Who are some of those guys, coaches, and I know it hurt, that you knew if you would have stayed there with them, they'd have got a golden opportunity and a better chance at a nicer scholarship and opportunity if they would just let you do what you do with that class right there?
Well, if people don't know the year that I left, the season after I left, we had 10 kids who had the opportunity to sign college scholarships, which had been the most, you know, in some time at Bastrop. You know, we still had the A.J. Finchroys, Jordan Mansfield, the BDs, the Jordan Godis of the world who were guys that we was looking forward to coming back that following year, who also had opportunities, in my opinion, to get college scholarships. And we was trying to give everything to give them an opportunity to not only be successful during the season, but have some success once they left Bastrop High School. And, you know, some of those guys left, and, you know, regardless of what people think, I never had conversation, told anybody to leave. But, you know, some people felt some different type of way, so people started moving around. And I think that domino falling of me leaving knocked some other dominoes down that, you know, was really unfortunate, not only for Bastrop High's program, but also the kids that end up doing something different.
Right, and most definitely. And a lot of times, you know, Coach, you know it's all politics and it's political, and people was throwing different curveballs in the mix and at you. And then at the end of the day, it kind of was something not to your own fault, you could say. But what do you feel your contributing factors were that you could have possibly done different to kind of aid the situation?
You know, I just think that, you know, the time I spent at Bastrop, being from Bastrop, knowing, you know, I tell people all the time, man, coaching in Bastrop is a little different, man. It's not just about the X's and O's. It's about, you know, the communities. It's about knowing this person, that person. It's about knowing, you know, fathers, mothers, cousins, sisters, brothers, aunties, whatever. About knowing the person at the corner store. And I think that's the angle that I had. And I think that was the bulk of my success was wrapped around the fact that I could get to these kids and get to inside some of these homes. And I just think that in order for Bastrop to be successful, it has to be somebody with that mindset. And I think it was a perfect storm at the perfect time with me coming back. And like I said, it was just unfortunate we didn't get a chance to see that opportunity go all the way through.
Right, and I think Miss Missy Quinn also mentioned about the perfect storm at the perfect opportunity. And Coach, you know, going back, you were there doing some of those championship years. You were there on the staff. How was the atmosphere compared to when you took over? Had there been a change, or did you feel like you could pick that back up from when you were there from the last time?
I think I most definitely think we picked it back up. I think for whatever reason, because I was gone most of the time. From the time I left Bastrop, I was in Monroe for a little while at Carroll, but I had gone on to New Orleans, so I was kind of separate from the atmosphere, the night-to-night atmosphere of what Bastrop had become. I know Coach Bachman was there. I know he had some successful times, but as far as the complete buy-in of the community, I'm not exactly sure that he had that. And once I came back, I started seeing people kind of come back around, and like I said, we got some old faces together, got some old friends together. We even started doing the homecoming, the tailgating, which brought a lot of people back. So I think the community was buying in. I think everybody had the same vision as I think a lot of people were on board, but maybe just, I guess not enough.
Well, Coach, you hear a lot of different things. People say this, people say that, but we got you here because we want to know from you. What do you think was just the last straw, even for yourself, because it was a two-way departure? What do you just think was you felt comfortable with leaving, and that was just the last straw? People don't know about your mental side of it and the things you go through. What do you think just was the final straw?
Well, man, it's interesting that you said the mental side of it. Regardless of belief or opinion or whatnot, I was never comfortable with leaving, and I never, I guess, agreed to leave. That wasn't my choice. And from a mental standpoint, man, it hurt. Because you got to realize, man, when people take these jobs, and a lot of people just see what you see on Friday night, but what people don't understand, man, that you're completely invested into that job. That job, those kids are your family. And when you have somebody, and I'm not saying I'm the only coach in the world that dives, 100% into it, but I am one of those. And to get separated from my kids, to get separated from a job, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man, I never saw myself leaving Bastrop. Once I got the head coaching job, once I came back home, my mental was, man, I'm going to retire, as a head coach or principal or something, but it was most definitely going to be at Bastrop High and then Morehouse Parish school system. So to get that dream ripped away from me so early, man, it hurt. And it messed with my mental for a little while, man. It put me in a bad spot. But as far as the reasoning behind it, again, it's just different of opinions, I guess, different vision. I'm one of the ones, man, kind of like my dad, man. If you hire me to do a job, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. It may not be what you want, but it's going to be 100. And that's what I gave. And like I said, it didn't turn out like that, man. But, but it was still God's will. I still got a blessing on the back end. Being the first black head coach, athletic director in Franklin Parish history, man, that's a big deal. And for me to have that crown and me to have that opportunity, man, I still take that on as a blessing.
Right. And, having a legendary coach like the late, great Coach Jesse Burnette, how has that been with you? And I know you had the opportunity to speak with him once that departure had. How did you guys, how that conversation went? That I want to know, how was that conversation? Because I know that not only hurt you, but that hurt the whole family. How was that conversation, Coach?
Well, fortunate, my dad had never been fired, but he's left jobs and taken different jobs all through his career and was successful when he did it. So, he always came from the perspective of, this is just another stepping stone. This is just another opportunity. He was big on just, learn from this and make sure, your next opportunity, because you're going to have another opportunity, make sure you're prepared for it. So he was always a positive influence when it came to that. Mom a little different. She got her horns out and, and she gonna ride for you. You know my mom personally, so you know how that conversation went. But you know, as far as talking to my pops, man, he was always positive about it. You know, never said one bad word. It was just about, okay, what's the next step and how do we handle the next chapter in our life.
Right, most definitely. And Coach, we're going to take another intermission. When we come back, we want to get into the life of those old Patriots over there in Franklin Parish and talk about your success this season and get your final thoughts on your beloved Strop City, of what you would like to see happen and where your heart is. And we know it's still here with us, and some of your pointers you would like to give us on getting things back together when we come back from this intermission.
Gotcha.
We'll be right back with the first Afro-American head coach in Franklin Parish history, our own standout wide receiver at Tulane University, Coach Adrian Burnette, when we return after this intermission.
I am always dope boy fresh, dope boy. I am dope boy, dope boy fresh. I am dope boy fresh, dope boy fresh, dope boy. I am dope boy, dope boy fresh. I am dope boy. Getting paid and I'm like the time, boy. I ain't stopping. I'm gonna make the block hot, straight white. I'm straight dropping, straight popping shit off. You know I gotta get my cake up. Waiting on me to fall, y'all little boys better wake up. Dropping racks in my stash and I'm laughing at y'all. Haters can't name a nigga more major. In my state we erase you. Deeper than the Pacific. But my pockets look like whales.
Welcome back to Emerge 360. We want to thank you guys for staying tuned in, and we want to give some special thoughts and thanks and shout outs to our supporters on Facebook, Club Planet, Funksville, Real Talk with Miss Nisi, and Yo Looking Ass Entertainment. And this has been brought to you by Above Average Healthcare of Miss Sequisa Gibbons in Carthage, Texas. We're still here with Strop City standout, former Tulane wide receiver, and current Franklin Parish head coach, our own Coach Adrian Burnette. Coach, when we went to intermission, you were sharing with us about your feelings of Strop City and your desires you had for the city and the team and the program as a whole. What kind of share with us about the success you had this year at Franklin Parish, and we're going to get into the final thoughts about old Strop City.
Man, we had a good season this year. I think prior to me, over the last 4 years, Franklin Parish had only won 3 games. It's been almost a decade since we had gone to the playoffs. So this year we went 7-4, lost a tough first round playoff game at home, and we was in a doggone monsoon, man. Had a lot of turnovers that game, but we've been getting better. Changing the culture, and we'll admit, man, a lot of the culture that I bring, a lot of the intensity, a lot of the winning attitude and tradition stems from my time at Bastrop. Regardless of what, man. Brad Bradshaw was a strong influence as far as my coaching career. And a lot of those things that we learned, even back in one state championship, is what I'm using now. So we had a great season this year, a lot better than we had in past years.
Right. And Coach, we still heartbroken behind the situation. But we have a new head coach, and I think Coach Tank is going to do a great job. He's also familiar with the program. But some of the last pointers you like to give the city, Coach, before we let you go, about where you would like to see them be, and some of the influence that you're still willing to help us with as we go down the road.
Well, I think the biggest thing that has to happen to kind of help Bastrop, get Bastrop kind of back where it needs to be. And I'm having some of the same conversations down in Franklin Parish, so I'm always close to it. We got to do more as far as the Little League, the Little League basketball, Little League football, Little League baseball. It's easy to say, okay, man, I got a kid in junior high and I want to make sure he gets over here to the high school. Well, most of the time, once a kid gets to that age, man, they kind of funneling in the direction they need to go. What Bastrop has to do is, man, get a hold of these kids in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade and giving them opportunity to have something to do extracurricular-wise. And, we had that opportunity. Me and you both had that opportunity growing up, but we had a lot of our parents involved. And I think, the parents have to get back involved with these kids at an early age and, man, give them an opportunity to do something instead of just kind of hanging out and, doing nothing, in the streets at night.
Right, Coach. And, we look back on it and we have to move forward. But not only did we miss out on another golden opportunity, people allowing our own the opportunity to help us go to the next plateau. And that's kind of been Achilles' heel in Strop City. When our own return, we look at them with a shun on them, like they did something that's out of the norm, and that's be successful. Regardless how we feel, we have to start respecting those that have the education, have played at the next level, and has the experience, and most of all, the qualitative experience of sports, play, financial, literacy, infrastructure, demand and supply, notes and formulations. It just has to be a better way for us to treat our icons and our legends and standouts such as Coach Adrian Burnette. Coach, any last words before we let you out of here?
Hey, man, no last words, but besides the fact, man, I appreciate the opportunity. And one thing I always say, man, I always have love for Bastrop. Bastrop is good, bad, and indifferent has made me the man that I am today. I always going to have a love for that because, still got friends and family that's living there. Man, you keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate this outlet. And I just ask and hope that, as a whole, as a city, we can figure out how to get everybody together, man. Let's do a better job of taking care of our own and keeping our own there because our own understands where it used to be and what it could be. And, I think that's some of the knowledge that some of these younger generations are missing, how successful Bastrop really was, not only in sports, but just as a city as a whole.
Right, most definitely, Coach. And that's what we're here at Immerse 360, trying to share a different narrative and shed the light on, athletes, political figures, and pioneers such as yourself that have paved the way for the next generations. And they may not get an opportunity to actually meet you or know you like the other kids that you coached done. But I want to make sure that you are E-marked with E360 and you're going down on the Immerse Podcast Wall of Fame, Coach 2023 selection.
Hey, man, let me say this too, man. I know you're on here doing all these interviews and asking people questions about, growing up in Bastrop and athletics. But I want to make sure everybody know that, man, you're a hell of an athlete yourself, man. The Modem boys, man, especially when it came down to that doggone baseball, was something special. So you and your brother, and most definitely your dad, man, helped pave the way athletically for a lot of us during that time. So I want to say thank you to you and your family, and especially your pops for everything he's done.
Already, bro. You like a little brother, man. Monty listening to the show, and he said, "What's up to you, boy?" And keep doing what you're doing. He's proud of you.
Oh yeah, good show, man. Appreciate you for having me, man.
Yes, sir. And you take care, Coach. We're going to close it out and give our final thoughts on the show tonight. Hey, that was our own standout wide receiver, former Tulane All-American, and number 3 all-time leading receiver, Coach Adrian Burnette. Hey, we want to thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Beyond the Game. This has been brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, where we understand the social civic needs of love, learn, live, and laugh. Until next time, y'all get involved. Y'all stay encouraged. And most of all, y'all stand up and be immersed. We out of this thing.
Positive journey. Everybody stand up for positivity.
All my big dogs want you stand up. All my street goons want you stand up. If you white collar, give me stand up. If you get it independent, stand up. Now all my big boss chicks stand up. Now all my keep it good chicks stand up. Now if you get it how you live, stand up. fist in the air, cause I don't care. Look hard until I die, I'ma try to get you up out of there. Most high, watch out for him, cause big bro in these streets. I share my life when I talk behind these beats. A 318 rider, standing on top of the South. It's your boy PJ. I told you what that blue life all about. Still let it folk. I had to finish and let the sun hit it from the city full of hustlers, born and raised. Go get it. Stop to the hustle.